Imagine this. If you could travel exactly 100 years into the future starting today, what do you think the world would look like? Would humans be living on other planets? Would robots have taken over many of the roles that humans perform today? Or would there be a technology that allows people to travel freely between the past and the future? Now let's think about the opposite scenario. What if one day there's a knock at your door and a stranger claims to have come from the Earth 500 years in the future? Would you believe them? Or would you dismiss them as a madman? It may sound like the plot of a science fiction movie, but surprisingly, time travel isn't just a concept found in movies and novels. Some of the world's most famous scientists believe that, under the right conditions, the flow of time could actually change. There have even been experiments designed to explore whether people from the future could, in theory, travel back to the past. History also contains mysterious stories of individuals who claimed they had come from the future. Although none of these claims have ever been proven true, they continue to fascinate people around the world. What does science have to say about it? And if it ever becomes possible, what could be the greatest danger of all? Hello everyone, I'm Santu and you're watching Obsidian Files. In today's video, we'll explore one of the greatest mysteries of time, step by step. We'll discover why time is far more complex than it seems. So, without further ado, let's begin. What is time really? We all experience time. Morning arrives, afternoon follows, night falls, and the hands of the clock keep moving forward. So, from childhood, we've been taught that time always flows at the same rate. But here's the fascinating part. Science says that this idea isn't entirely true. Imagine you have two identical clocks. One clock stays with you on Earth. The other is placed aboard a spacecraft traveling at a speed very close to the speed of light. Several years later, the spacecraft returns to Earth. Now, if the two clocks are placed side by side, you'll notice something extraordinary. They no longer show the same time. The clock that traveled through space has advanced slightly more slowly than the one that remained on Earth. In other words, even though both clocks existed during the same period, they ended up measuring different amounts of time. As unbelievable as it may sound, this is not science fiction. It is a phenomenon that has been confirmed again and again through modern physics experiments. Scientists call it time dilation. In simple terms, the faster you travel, the more slowly time passes for you. And this leads to an astonishing possibility. If a person could travel for a long time at a speed very close to the speed of light, only a few years might pass for them. But on Earth, decades, or even centuries, could pass during the same period, which means they would arrive in the future. It may sound like something straight out of a movie, but it is based on solid science. And the person who first introduced this revolutionary idea to the world was a man whose name is forever written in the history of science. But how did he discover that time is not the same for everyone? That's exactly what we'll explore in the next chapter. The man who changed our understanding of time. The year was 1905. A 26-year-old young scientist published a research paper that marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of science. His name was Albert Einstein. Until then, most people believed that time flowed the same way for everyone. No matter where you were or how you moved, 1 minute was always 1 minute. But Einstein said, time is not absolute. It can change depending on motion and gravity. At first, many people found this idea almost impossible to believe, but it becomes much easier to understand with a simple example. Imagine that you have an identical twin brother. You stay here on Earth. Meanwhile, your brother boards a spacecraft capable of traveling at a speed very close to the speed of light. He spends several years traveling through space before returning to Earth. When he comes back, he realizes that only about 5 years have passed for him. But on Earth, 30 or even 40 years have gone by. You have grown much older while your brother has barely aged. In physics, this thought experiment is known as the twin paradox. It isn't magic. It is a consequence of Einstein's theory of relativity. And what's even more remarkable is that we rely on real-world evidence of this idea every single day. Have you ever wondered how the GPS on your phone can determine your location so accurately? The answer is that the clocks aboard GPS satellites orbiting the Earth do not tick at exactly the same rate as clocks on the ground. Because these satellites move at very high speeds and experience a different gravitational environment than the Earth, tiny differences in time accumulate on their clocks. If these differences weren't corrected every single day, your GPS could be off by several kilometers. In other words, Einstein's theory isn't confined to the pages of textbooks. It is built into the technology we use in our everyday lives. But this leads us to the most important question. If traveling into the future is theoretically possible, could traveling back into the past also be possible? While searching for the answer, scientists began discussing a mysterious concept that sounds like something straight out of science fiction. That concept is called a wormhole. Could it really be a doorway connecting one part of the universe to another, or even one point in time to another? Or is it nothing more than a mathematical possibility? Let's dive deeper into that mystery in the next chapter. Now imagine this. A long sheet of paper is lying in front of you. One end of the paper is marked A and the other end is marked B. Normally, to get from A to B, you would have to travel the entire length of the paper. But what if you folded the paper in the middle, bringing A and B right next to each other? Then you wouldn't have to travel the whole distance anymore. You could reach B from A in an instant. Scientists believe the universe might contain similar shortcuts. These hypothetical shortcuts are called wormholes. Einstein's theory of general relativity suggests that such a possibility could exist. If a stable wormhole really exists, it might not only connect two distant places, but, in theory, it could also connect two different points in time. In other words, by stepping through a single doorway, you might arrive hundreds of years into the future or travel back to a moment in the past. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But here's the biggest challenge. To this day, no wormhole has ever been directly observed. No one has ever traveled through one. For now, wormholes remain nothing more than a theoretical possibility in modern physics. Even so, scientists continue to study them because the universe has not yet revealed all of its secrets. Jury, Stephen Hawking's strange party. Now let's travel to the year 2009. The world-famous physicist Stephen Hawking decided to conduct a rather unusual experiment. He organized a small party. The room was decorated with colorful balloons. The table was filled with food, drinks, and cake. Everything was ready. But there was one very strange detail. No guests had been invited. After the party was over, Hawking told the media that the party had been organized for future time travelers. His reasoning was simple. If people in the future could really travel through time, then they would one day learn about this party from the historical record. And if they wished, they could travel back in time and attend it. Hawking waited for a long time, but no one came. Not a single guest. The food remained untouched. The balloons swayed quietly in the empty room. Later, Hawking joked, "The results of my experiment suggest that, at least so far, no one has come back from the future." Of course, that doesn't prove that time travel is impossible. Perhaps it will never be invented in the future. Or perhaps there is simply no way to travel back into the past. But the story doesn't end there. History is filled with stories about two individuals who famously claim to have come from the future. Their stories continue to fascinate millions of people around the world. But were those stories actually true? Or were they nothing more than internet legends? Let's uncover the stories of these two mysterious figures in the next chapter. Whenever the topic of time travel comes up, two names appear again and again. One is Andrew Carlssin. The other is John Titor. Even today, countless videos, articles, and online discussions revolve around their stories. But the real question is, Were these stories based on actual events, or are they simply legends created by the internet? Mystery 1. Andrew Carlssin. In 2003, a story spread rapidly across the internet. It claimed that a man named Andrew Carlssin started investing in the stock market with just $800. Within only a few weeks, that investment supposedly grew to nearly $350 million. Every single trade he made was unbelievably successful. He made almost no mistakes at all. According to the story, during questioning, he claimed that he had traveled back in time from the year 2256. Because he already knew the future of the global economy, he was able to make millions of dollars with ease. He even claimed to possess valuable knowledge about the future of medical science. But no reliable government records of this incident have ever been found. Later, many researchers concluded that the story most likely originated from a satirical online publication and was eventually mistaken for a real news story. In other words, to this day it remains nothing more than a mysterious internet legend. Mystery 2. John Titor. In late 2000, a man began posting on various internet forums under the name John Titor. He claimed that he had come from the year 2036. According to him, he had been sent back in time to solve a specific technological problem in the future. He also mentioned an old computer known as the IBM 5100. Perhaps the most astonishing part was he even shared diagrams and photographs of his alleged time machine. Thousands of people began reading his posts. Some believed him, others dismissed it as a hoax, and some thought it might have been a social experiment. For nearly 4 months, John Titor regularly answered questions from people online. Then, in March 2001, he posted one final message. In it, he wrote, "It's time for me to return to my own time." After that, he was never seen online again. To this day, no one knows for certain who John Titor really was. Many researchers believe he was a fictional character created by one or more individuals. Yet some people still believe that perhaps we simply don't know the whole truth. However, one fact is certain. To this day, there is no credible scientific evidence supporting the time travel claims of either Andrew Carlssin or John Titor. But does that mean time travel is impossible? Or have we simply not discovered the technology yet? In the final chapter, we'll explore what modern science has to say, and whether time travel could one day become a reality. What does science say? So far, we've learned that Einstein's theory tells us that time does not pass at the same rate for everyone. Stephen Hawking even hosted a party for future time travelers. And mysterious stories like those of Andrew Carlssin and John Titor continue to capture people's imagination. But now comes the real question. What does modern science actually say? First of all, it's important to understand one thing. Experiencing time dilation and freely traveling through time in a time machine are not the same thing. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time can pass more slowly for someone traveling at extremely high speeds or living in a very strong gravitational field. That's why, in theory, a person could travel forward into the future. In other words, only a short amount of time would pass for them, while many more years would pass on Earth. But as of today, science has found no proven way to travel back into the past. One of the biggest reasons is something known as the time paradox. Imagine that you travel back in time and change an event that prevents your own present from ever existing. Then how could you have traveled back in the first place? This logical problem is known as the grandfather paradox. To this day, it remains one of the greatest debates in both physics and philosophy. Some scientists believe that even if traveling to the past were possible, changing the past might be impossible. Others suggest that every change could create an entirely new parallel universe. However, these ideas remain purely theoretical. There is still no conclusive experimental evidence to support them. So, will time travel ever become a reality? The truth is, no one can answer that question with certainty today. History has shown us time and time again that many things once thought impossible eventually became reality. There was a time when people believed that human flight was impossible, Traveling to the moon was nothing more than a dream. Instant communication across the world sounded like pure fantasy. But today, all of these things are real. So none of us can truly know what discoveries the future of science holds. Perhaps one day humanity will understand time in an entirely new way. Perhaps the mystery of wormholes will finally be solved, or perhaps we'll discover that time is a fundamental law of the universe, one that can never be broken. For now, the answer to this mystery remains hidden in the future. And perhaps, at this very moment, someone from the future is watching this very video, already knowing whether time travel is truly possible. Until that day comes, let this question remain one of the greatest mysteries in science. A mystery that continues to inspire our imagination, curiosity, and endless search for knowledge. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. Do you think time travel will ever become a reality? And if you had a time machine, where would you go, the past or the future? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy mysterious stories, fascinating science, and the hidden chapters of history, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and take care. Thank you for watching.